Have you ever had a hobby or piece of media you're really into, and every time you try to suggest that thing to a friend, it's less of a recommendation that you know they're going to enjoy and more of a business deal pitch where you're trying to make a case as to why they should also like that thing? Hi, I'm Saul Goodman, and I'm here to represent you in convincing your friends to do cool stuff. Welcome to Things That I Really Like and I Think You Would Really Like Too if there wasn't this barrier to entry that makes things difficult to try or is generally off-putting the first time, and I totally get it, it's really just a preference thing. Monster Hunter. The title kind of explains it all, right? I mean, hey, there's monsters. Go Creases Jordans. Well, it's an idea so simple that despite not being a household name in the West like Capcom's other IPs such as Resident Evil, Street Fighter, Mega Dude, out of the top 10 most sold games in Capcom's history, Monster Hunter is 4 of them. Oh, and by the way, these aren't 4 different games. No. This is 2 games whose DLC expansions simply sold that many copies. Monster Hunter is that guy. But if that's the case, then why isn't it unanimously praised by players in the West? Maybe some of you might say, I know Monster Hunter already. My friend used to play it on his DS back in the day, and I tried it, but I didn't understand the weapons or the mechanics, because it's like an MMORPG or something, right? Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, Witcher 3 looking ass. Wait, Geralt, what are you doing here?
Waiting for them to play Gangnam Style.
But what if I told you this game is not only very easy to get into, but is one of the most rewarding gaming experiences you'll ever have? To do that, I want you to throw out any preconceived ideas that you have about this series. Empty your mind and allow these games to be seen with fresh impressions and answer this simple question. You think you can take that guy? First and foremost, the Monster Hunter series delivers monsters. The designs of these monsters are some of the most creative, vicious, beautiful, and terrifying things to be put into a video game. Encountering new monsters makes you scream out of fear and excitement. Monsters exist in this world as a force of nature or a natural disaster. Hunting a dangerous monster is like being a storm chaser, except when you hop out of the truck, you're beating the dust out of the tornado. There's a special relationship between hunter and monster in this game. You're not just trying to defeat a boss for the sake of beating it. You're actively learning and adapting to not only the monster presented in front of you, but the environment in which the fight takes place. Likewise, each monster isn't mindlessly throwing out swing after swing trying to teach you its gimmick so that you can exploit it and move on to the next boss. It's actively trying to trap you and catch you off guard. There's weird attack patterns, crazy elemental abilities. They flee when they're in pain, try to intimidate you when backed into a corner. They poison you, they bleed you, they try to tuck you in for a nap. They even have a B-52 bomber drop a guided missile on your direct location. Get down! Each monster feels alive and aware of the hunter in the same way that the player is aware of them, which leads to a gameplay loop that feels like 2 hardened warriors meeting in the field of battle, both giving everything that they have to beat the other. What helps elevate this feeling is the incredible soundtrack that the game provides. Each monster has its own unique backdrop to let the player feel the aura that that specific monster has. Okay, so now you're thinking cool, the designs are neat and the music slaps, but that's not all that makes a game good. How will I know if this pest control MMO is gonna be fun to play? Well, guess what, bucko? Playing the game's the best part. Possibly one of the most interesting and unique things about Monster Hunter is how you choose to play. Everything in its game design is based on the rule of cool. You want to be an anime character slicing and dicing? Do it. You want to lay down a fat beat? Play that funky music. You want to shoot that thing in the face with a nuclear blast from 2 feet away? Fire at will. The game really allows the player to have full agency on how they want to play. And rather than having the player level up and get more talents and skills and flippy-dippy moves, the progression is tied to your weapons and armor. Every new monster that you encounter is a skill check that asks, can you outsmart and outmaneuver this monster? If you can't, the answer isn't to go farm XP until you outlevel the monster. The hunter's stats themselves never progress because the hunter is you. You are the one who learns how to use your weapon. You are the one who gets beaten into the dirt, and you are the one who gets back up and learns how to overcome those obstacles. Speaking of weapons, a lot of people watching this probably think of something like Dark Souls when you see this game. I mean, I can understand the comparisons because, you got a health bar, a stamina bar, big bosses, and a health flask thing, but to be honest, that's really where the similarities end, because where Soulsborne games emphasize managing stamina, mana, and health flasks to make sure your immortal Twigman doesn't get one-shot by the boss's bullshit attack in the second phase, Monster Hunter emphasizes planning, resourcefulness, and most importantly, weapon mastery. There are a total of 14 weapons in Monster Hunter to choose from, and you have all of them available to you at the start of the game, so you don't have to wait until you discover an area in the game where you can find the overpowered Blade of Le Carpatron Duke Maria that'll carry you to the end game. There's just you, a monster, and a real big beaten stick of your choice. Let me take a step back for a second because I think this is probably where most people get lost on the game. Make no mistake, each individual weapon is very in-depth, and it has its own playstyle that caters to a specific type of hunter. It's very important that you find the right weapon for your wants, and I genuinely believe that out of the 14 weapons that Monster Hunter offers, there is one for every type of player. So take your time with this step to find yours. You can spend hundreds and hundreds of hours in this game, beating every single monster without even touching a single other weapon. And the moment that you switch, it's like you're brand new to the game again, which is part of the fun. If a veteran hunter has never touched the insect glaive, and then they try to take on an endgame monster, they will cart over and over and over until they learn how to use that weapon. Again, because you are the one earning XP, not the hunter, the only way to respec is by picking up something you have no experience in. But Carlos, I hear you saying, didn't you say earlier that the progression in this game is tied to your weapons and armor? Couldn't you argue that the substitute for stats and skill points is just gear in this game? If I'm stuck on a monster, why don't I turn around and grind materials for better armor? Oh. As I mentioned before, all of the stat progression in this game is tied to your gear. The way that you upgrade that gear is by carving the materials from monsters you've defeated, along with some metals and bones you found lying around. This leads to a special moment for all hunters. When you encounter a monster for the first time, get your ass beat, start hacking away at it, get your ass beat again.
I understand it now.
You finally overcome that obstacle and bring it back to the blacksmith to see all of the dope shit that you can craft with its materials. It's not only the satisfaction of beating a boss, but knowing you can wear its hide to make you stronger, faster, sexier. And the designs of that gear can range from the most absurd, overkill looking pieces of monster exploding technology to, who invited this guy? Just so you can go up to the next monster and say, You're next. As I'm sure you realize by now, Monster Hunter has a primal appeal to it. There's a certain masculine fighting spirit embedded into fighting a monster with a big sword, but the more you peel back, the more surprisingly wholesome you'll find what's underneath. There's a certain relaxed and carefree attitude that the game has about itself. From funny cats that crack cat puns all the time, to hunters giving you inspirational speeches, to downright criminally delicious looking food. Like seriously, I don't think any game can make me hungry the way that Monster Hunter can. The foundation of the game is built on cooperation, and because of that, the community is filled with friendly, helpful, and motivational hunters that are happy to introduce new players to a game that is admittedly daunting to get into at first glance. It may seem like a game about killing stuff and getting more powerful, and in a way it is, but the effect that it has on the player is much more than just that. It's a game about growth. It asks you to be better than you are now. And yes, it's goofy. Yes, there's a monkey that farts. But the game captures the innocence and wonder that you had when you were a kid. What was cooler than big swords and fighting dragons when you were 9? I understand that getting into a series like this can be intimidating, and believe it or not, it took a lot of convincing to get me to try this game for the first time. I mean, the way that I talk about this series, you'd think it's something that I grew up playing, but I'm considered a new generation hunter. I joined in 2018 with Monster Hunter World, but any hunter can tell you, the new titles being released right now are geared towards new and old hunters alike. Now is the perfect time to get into the series. Monster Hunter Wilds is about to release and is extremely beginner friendly. The devs have made so many quality of life changes to make the game so easy to pick up if you've never played a Monster Hunter game before. Monster Hunter is one of my favorite series. It's exciting, it's charming, it's challenging, and it's one of the most satisfying games that I've ever played, and I cannot recommend it more. Monster Hunter asks you to rise to the occasion, to beat all the odds, and to overcome every obstacle not because you max out all your stats, but because you got better. Monster Hunter doesn't artificially make you the hero of this story. Oh
Oh my god! This game is so sick!
Monster Hunter asks you to prove you're a hero.